Hey, what is up, mortals? Here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 10 season 2 of What If Deku Had Venom. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Izuku and Gran Torino were riding on a train to Shinjuku City. Gran Torino explained how the more populated areas would tend to also have crime more widespread. At the rate we're going, we'll probably make it there by night, Izuku stated. Gran Torino nodded. Indeed, it's actually pretty beneficial to your development. After all, crime is more frequent at night, Gran Torino explained. Izuku couldn't wait to do some patrolling with the older hero. But his spider sense went off. He realized suddenly that something was wrong. He looked up to see a Namu claw open the roof of the train. Gran Torino immediately jumped into action, kicking the Namu in the face. Izuku wanted to help, but Torino commanded him to not interfere. He wanted him to stay put, but this was Izuku. Gran Torino tackled the Namu out of the train, which left Izuku concerned about his safety. Izuku exited the train only to see Hasu City on fire. I have some bad vibes about there, Venom commented. You and me both, Izuku said, despite his better judgment and Venom's mentioning of it being a bad idea. Izuku went to investigate what was happening in Hasu City. He was curious and concerned for Ida's safety as well. He knew that Ida was interning at this specific city after all. He could only imagine the mass devastation there. Once he had arrived at Hasu, he noticed how a couple of the pro-heroes were fighting even more Namu-like creatures. They weren't like the ones back at the USJ. They didn't appear to be too smart. They were seemingly running around like mindless zombies. Well, they pretty much were, but they were far more dangerous. He looked around, but for some reason, he couldn't spot Ida anywhere near the heroes. It was pretty odd at first until Venom suggested an idea. Ida's brother, Ingenium was the name, was left crippled by the hero killer Stain in this city, and all of a sudden, Ida started acting a bit different. Then, he chose to do his internship here with the Pro Hero Manual when he had several other options that were more appropriate with his quirk and fighting style. Yet he went with Manual. I find that to be more than just a coincidence. Hearing this caused Izuku's eyes to widen in realization. Oh no. Izuku quickly left the battlefield in order to find Ida. He knew exactly what Ida was trying to do. Izuku managed to find Ida right when Stain was about to finish him off, before Izuku could even think of something to do. Venom took over one of Izuku's arms and shot a couple of webs at Stain's face. It wasn't something Stain expected, but he was able to get out of the way just in time. What's this? Stain wondered. Leave him alone, Izuku yelled. Oh, is he a friend of yours? If so, you must be another one of those fake heroes. Stain lunged at Izuku with his blades in hand, but Venom took over, creating sides in place of their arms, which he used in order to block Stain's attack. Oh, is it a shapeshifting quirk? I see. I'll admit I haven't encountered too many of your kind, but it makes no difference. Stain threw himself off of the symbiote and host duo and threw a couple of knives at them. Several tendrils sprouted off of them and captured the weapons before they could get too close. Without thinking, Izuku threw the knives right back at Stain. He was able to dodge most of them, but one knife managed to hit him in the knee. Stain growled in pain before pulling out the knife. Izuku watched as Stain tried to launch another attack at him. This time though, Izuku counterattacked. He swung one of the sides at Stain. The hero killer attempted to dodge the attack, but he failed to take into account the tendrils which Izuku used to drag Stain back down, slamming the villain to the ground. Stain gasped in pain. Who is this brat? Stain muttered. Stain brought himself back just in time to dodge another attack from Izuku. Izuku shapeshifted the scythe into a set of claws and tried to slash at Stain. Izuku, don't give him the opportunity to strike. If you let him catch you off guard and he manages to make you shed even the tiniest ounce of blood, he can leave you paralyzed, Ida reported. Ida cursed himself for being so useless, especially since this was his fight to avenge his older brother for what Stain did to him. Izuku became distracted hearing Ida's voice though, which left him wide open for an attack by the hero killer. Finally, Stain yelled. He lunged at Izuku once more, sweeping his legs from underneath him. He went on to try stabbing Izuku with both katanas in hand. Ida screamed when he saw Stain's attempt at murdering his friend right before his eyes until a wave of glacier-sized ice rushed at the villain. Stain jumped out of the way before the ice could hit him though. Another one. Stain growled in frustration. It was 2-on-1 now. It didn't help that the one clad in black was especially difficult. He had so many abilities that made him an extremely difficult opponent to fight against. If it weren't for his speed, he'd have been defeated a long time ago. Now, he was at a serious disadvantage. Izuku, you know I almost didn't make it in time. Be more specific with your location next time, Todoroki stated. Ada saw both Izuku and Todoroki were tackling the hero killer now. It frustrated him beyond means as he still couldn't move. He saw that the two of them were able to go hand to hand with Stain. Izuku shot some webbing at Stain's face, which momentarily distracted him as he was trying to rip it off of his face. Izuku used the distraction to punch Stain in the face, rattling the villain from the force behind the blow. Todoroki tried to freeze the hero killer's legs before they had a chance to gain back their senses, but he managed to break out of the ice while it was still thin. Stain wasn't given any chance to breathe after that. He had to face an onslaught of attacks from the pair. Some attacks he was able to evade, but those attacks were followed up by another, more ferocious attack that he could at best block. He ended up suffering several broken bones and cuts throughout the course of the battle. He could tell that they were trying to subdue him, not necessarily end him though. He would have been finished a long time ago. He was really struggling to keep up with his opponents here. He threw a dagger at the two-tone boy, which managed to cut his cheek. Right when he thought he found an opening though, he was slammed into the wall, which seemingly knocked him unconscious. Izuku and Todoroki were breathing heavily. They failed to notice the broken vial with the strange liquid inside. This liquid began to cover Stain. When Izuku finally noticed, it was already too late. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Another symbiote? Izuku questioned. Probably another one from the lab, Venom assumed. The lab? You mean the place you mentioned that experimented on you? Yeah, they ended up producing a couple of artificial spawns from my DNA. Looks like that's one of them. Izuku was, needless to say, shocked to hear such a revelation. He saw that symbiote back at the USJ, but he didn't know the exact reason for why they existed. For all he knew, it was just another naturally born symbiote of Venom's race. Izuku, please, allow me to take primary control for this fight. I can tell that this one is different from the last one, more dangerous and less stable. When Izuku heard this, he agreed with Venom. Stain was already fast and strong, but he couldn't imagine how much more powerful Stain was now with this symbiote in hand. That and the thought of Stain being even less mentally sound was a terrifying thought. Venom was more suited for such a situation. Before Izuku even knew it though, a blur passed by them, clawing at him in the process. He felt something leave him in the process. He was confused at first until he and Venom saw Stain covered in a red and yellow-looking symbiote with long hair. They had fangs and long claws as well. What the two noticed in particular though was something in their adversary's hand. Something the size of someone's palm that looked similar to a ball of slime began to merge with Stain's symbiote. It was white at first, but while in the merge, it became black. Oh no, the baby survived and fused with them, Venom realized. Todoroki looked at Venom in confusion for a second, but shook his head. He wasn't going to focus on that now. He'd ask Izuku what he meant by that statement later. That and why he sounded so different all of a sudden. Venom and Todoroki gave all of their attention to Stain and switched to more defensive stances. We are Scream. The now dubbed Scream charged at Todoroki and Venom. Todoroki reflected back to the sports festival. He saw how Izuku reacted to fire, and this guy appeared to have gained a similar quirk to Izuku's somehow. He launched a ray of fire at Scream, but they were able to leap out of the way. Venom ran after them and grabbed them by the arm. He yanked him down to the ground, but Scream did a backflip kick, kicking Venom in the jaw. Todoroki created a large wave of ice, forcing Scream to move out of the way, jumping into midair. Todoroki used this to his advantage though by shooting fire at Scream once more. But this time it connected. Scream growled and it looked like they were struggling to stay with their host. They were momentarily immobilized and Venom refused to let the opportunity pass. He created two sides and slashed at Scream. The other symbiote yelled in pain before Venom sucker punched them. Scream pulled out Stain's weapons and began to cover them before something unusual happened. Stain's weapons appeared to become part of the symbiote's body, prepared to die. They started speaking in indistinguishable noises for a couple seconds and used a now symbiote-enhanced katana to slash at Venom. It cut through Venom's body and Izuku's hero suit, making it all the way to his skin. A large gash opened up in Izuku's body after the attack. Izuku winced in pain, but Venom quickly went to heal his host before things got worse. Venom saw Scream about to lick Izuku's blood, but he shot a web at Scream's arm and pulled them close while Todoroki grabbed the other arm and set fire to it. They screamed a gut-wrenching scream and Todoroki saw the villain's covering begin to draw back. Todoroki tried to increase the heat, but Scream headbutted Todoroki and used their hair-like tendrils to wrap around Todoroki's neck. They went on to start choking Todoroki, but Venom swung a kick at Scream's torso. Time to test something new out. Venom breathed and began to focus his energy. What are you doing, Venom? Remember how I was able to bond with All Might for a little while? Yeah, what about it? Simply put, I have this one interesting ability where I can take on certain attributes from previous hosts and adapt it, even after I leave that host and move on to another. The new host can have access to the attributes I gained and adapted on. You could say I have a genetic memory of the sorts. Wait, so are you saying what I think you're saying? That's right. I was able to create a version of All Might's quirk. I couldn't copy the exact quirk though. There's something weird with his quirk, but I was able to augment it to something that would be pretty beneficial. What is it? A sort of energy manipulation actually. I found some sort of ability that allowed All Might to make black whips of energy. That and something with stockpiling energy or strength. It's not super strong yet though. If we get through this, we're gonna need a lot of chocolate. Venom blocked an attack from Scream and grabbed their hair before they swung them around. Venom threw Scream into a wall, but Scream bounced back immediately. Venom supercharged their body with the energy quickly before Scream could send out another attack. Their strength and speed seemed to increase tenfold in that moment as Venom grabbed Scream's neck and flung him down to the ground. They grabbed Scream's arms and put their foot on Scream's back. They pulled on their arms until the sound of bones breaking was heard. Scream tried to get back up, but he couldn't. He collapsed and retreated into Stain. Venom collapsed on top of the unconscious Stain and retreated as well. Ada saw everything, and at that moment he was finally able to move again. Whatever that thing was that possessed Stain earlier seemed to have finally been vanquished, but not by him. He felt so useless here. The whole time he couldn't move. It was as if Stain's quirk was amplified on top of his physical abilities. He and Todoroki went to help Izuku stand, but it appeared that Izuku couldn't without any support. My B-body. It's all numb. Izuku cried. The group was too focused on Izuku to notice the pair of symbiotes leave Stain's body though. They were able to make it to the outer streets where they attached themselves to a flying Namu who flew to the rooftops above. The Namu landed on one specific rooftop though, one that held Tamura, Shigaraki, and Kurogiri. The symbiotes removed themselves from the Namu afterwards. Oh, and what do we have here? A new symbiote that I don't recognize. Is it possible that this is a natural-born offspring? It's like picking up some rare treasure in a video game. Just my luck too. I think I'll make you my very own, Shigaraki stated. Shigaraki stretched his hand out to the new symbiote, but something strange happened. Rather than cover Shigaraki's body, it found one of Shigaraki's unhealed wounds and entered. Tamura hissed in pain for a second but realized something. That symbiote entered his bloodstream. You and I will make great partners. We both want one thing at the end of the day, and you want to know what that is. It's Carnage. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals. Have an amazing day.